So I want to thank everyone again for joining us tonight. This is our first virtual Artist Lab. And for those who are new to this program, the Artist Lab is a monthly program open to creative individuals to hold space, share current projects, discuss and address pertinent issues affecting local artists, and to garner and share resources for both personal and professional growth. These gatherings are usually held at Self-Help Graphics, but the current circumstances have brought us together on this virtual platform, either clumsily, but we're here. And in a way, it's an opportunity to expand, explore, and to welcome new artists to self-help. Tonight, we will share artist resources that are available beyond the emergency grants, new opportunities for freelance workers, and information about the rent moratorium, plus more, and access to essential needs like food, which leads us to talk about other essential needs, such as mental and emotional care. We will create a space of reflection and meditation, and to talk about creating a self-care toolbox and having a crisis plan, and the importance of practicing gratitude, especially in these unnerving times. I don't have words to make sense of what we are experiencing, but as a mother and a wife to an artist, and one who works in and with artist community, it's not difficult to see the multi-leveled impact that this virus or this circumstances, situations has had on the artistic community, physically, mentally, emotionally, and financially, to name a few. It's my hope that through tonight's program, creatives can take and benefit from information provided by our three speakers, understanding that everyone is processing and experiencing this pandemic and quarantine differently. Some of you may be ready to jump in and grab the tools that will be shared, while others will need more time. So please be assured that this program will be recorded and the resources mentioned tonight will be listed and available on our website. Before we proceed, I would like to invite Alexa, Self-Help Graphics Program Manager, to read the Zoom participant rules of engagement. Alexa?
Hi, everybody. So we've created some rules just to honor each other's space during our time together. And so the session will be recorded and archived for the public. And we're currently live streaming on Facebook as well. Zoom participant faces may be recorded. And if you don't wish to be recorded, you can stream the program live on Facebook instead. We ask that you use the chat option to post your questions for our moderator, which we'll review during the Q&A session. You can access the chat through the lower right-hand corner of your Zoom screen. And all participants are muted and should remain muted throughout this entire session. And lastly, there's no doubt that uncertainty leads us to express things that we don't intend. So we ask you to be kind and patient with us throughout this program and when you also post your questions in the chat box.
Thank you. We'll begin with a grounding exercise led by Xochitl Palomera. Xochitl is an educator who specializes in early childcare, family support, and holistic wellness. She is a singer, a danzante, and a healer. And as I mentioned earlier, she will talk about the different self-care methods during the high moments of anxiety, creating a self-care toolbox and a crisis plan, which made so much sense after she explained it to me. I didn't think about that before. And at the end of the program tonight, we will end in a full circle with Xochitl, who will guide us in a short meditation. Xochitl?
Thank you so much. Hi, everybody. My name is Xochitl Palomera. I'm so thankful to be here with all of you today. So what we're gonna do first is we are gonna do a grounding exercise. Has anybody ever participated in a grounding exercise or done deep breathing? You can raise your hand if you have or shake no. All right. So what we're gonna do is we're going to practice some deep breathing along with a mindfulness exercise. So one tip for deep breathing is to do the breath of 4. So we're gonna take in a deep breath for 4 seconds. We're gonna hold it for 4 seconds, and then we're gonna release for 4 seconds. And let's try to just maintain that pattern throughout the grounding exercise so that we can help to regulate our heartbeat, ground our bodies, relax ourselves, and help us to just be present here in this moment now. So go ahead and close your eyes. Taking a deep breath. Hold it. And release very slowly. You can purse your lips as if you were whistling so that the breath can release very slowly. Go ahead and take in a deep breath. Hold it. And release very slowly. As you're continuing this breathing pattern, I want you to take notice of the sounds that you hear outside. What do you hear? What does it sound like? Try not to guess what the sounds are. It's okay if thoughts are passing through your mind. Just let them flow. Remember to keep your breathing pattern and just notice the sounds that are outside. Go ahead and take in a deep breath. And release. Now I want you to bring your attention indoors. What sounds do you hear within your home? What is it saying to you? What are the textures of the sound? And now I want to invite you to notice the sounds within your body. Bring your attention to yourself. What sounds is your body making? How do they feel? Is your body trying to communicate something to you? Take in a deep breath. And release. Notice how your body feels while you're sitting. Do you feel the weight of your body wherever you're seated? Notice your feet, the weight of your body and your feet. Are they on the ground? Are you sitting in a chair? Are you sitting on your bed? Take this moment to just connect with your body. Taking a deep breath. Hold it and release. And very gently, you can start wiggling your toes, relaxing your shoulders, moving your head from left to right. If you're yawning, that's a good sign. That means your body's relaxed. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes. Welcome back. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I needed that before this program. So now I'll introduce you to our two other guests, Evonne Gallardo. Evonne is an arts and culture management consultant dedicated to honoring and valuing artists as critical components of a successful society. Evonne has held leadership positions in a wide range of arts and culture environments, including museums, Hollywood-based charities, community-based art centers, and artist-led ventures. Evonne is passionate about the role that arts and culture play in our lives and works to advance artists and organizations that serve them. She currently serves as the vice chair of the board of directors of the National Association of Latino Arts and Culture and is a member of the mayor-appointed Cultural Affairs Commission for the City of Los Angeles. And she'll be speaking about the different resources available for artists beyond grants and how to approach the grants that are available. Edna, she is, prior to joining the mayor's office, Edna was a downtown field deputy for Councilmember Jose Huizar. As field deputy, she also led the community outreach efforts surrounding the ABH sites in downtown LA. Edna has experience in community organizing and advocacy work. And I've also had the pleasure of working with Edna in the census outreach efforts of the East Side and Northeast Los Angeles. She is now adamantly working to keep us abreast of all of the updates from the mayor's office. And Edna will speak to us about the rental moratorium, senior meal programs, LADWP, and other utility relief resources, as well as testing for seniors and unemployment benefits, including small business loans available for to freelance workers. So I'll ask Evonne to take the mic, and then we'll follow up with a Q&A, then Edna will speak, and then we'll follow up with a Q&A. And again, please post your questions in the chat box and we'll address them to the speakers. Evonne?
Thanks, Marbella. Hi, everyone. So it's such a, I feel really in alignment right now. Thank you, Xochitl, for that beginning. And I also feel in alignment for being able to share some of the resources and strategies around applying for access to emergency funds here. The first thing I wanted to acknowledge was that between social media and our respective networks, it seems there are a ton of emergency funds popping up, and for a variety of purposes. And for a variety of artist disciplines. And I want to acknowledge that both because it can be overwhelming to artists, especially our artists, artists of color, who normally oftentimes do not apply for grants and fellowships, even though I encourage folks to do that. So I want to just acknowledge that it can be overwhelming to see all of these things and which one do I apply for, and I can't read another set of guidelines. The other thing I wanted to acknowledge about that also was clearly there's not a whole lot of collaboration and discussion happening amongst funders right now. And I think that is because of, the need is so timely, it's so urgent, and folks are just really trying to get dollars in the hands of artists and arts professionals who need them. So with that being said, what I hope to do is not to go through a long list of the opportunities that you can access yourself, but to maybe focus your search and activity in a strategic way. So you're not, having to go through a million applications and then, petering out after the first 10. So the first thing I wanted to start off with is, I'm not sure how many visual artists we have versus performance artists, but if there are performance artists in the house, just clap with your reaction or whatever so that I know that you're here. Otherwise, I'm gonna probably focus on visual artists here. So the first place I'm going to start is with public funding. That's National Endowment for the Arts, California Arts Council, Department of Cultural Affairs. Those are places that you should be visiting their website, because the stimulus funds that are coming through at the government level are being added to what's happening at local levels. So I would really recommend you either following, on Instagram or Twitter, because things are popping up. And what at least the Department of Cultural Affairs take is, with their emergency fund, is we're going to do it on a first come, first serve basis for this first round, and we're going to focus it on performance art. So that doesn't mean, however, that the next round may not be focused on visual artists. So I would really recommend following the NEA, the California Arts Council, the Department of Cultural Affairs, and the LA County Departments of Arts and Culture, because they're going to be rolling stuff out pretty soon if they haven't already. Everyone has probably seen the announcement of the federal stimulus package that included a percentage of funds for the arts and a whole set of other resources and opportunities. If you as an artist consider yourself or work as a small business, I think every artist is working as a small business. I don't know any who are not. You really want to take a look at the opportunities under that relief package. The guidelines, if you think you know that you don't qualify, put that out of your mind. The guidelines are super broad. Never before have freelancers or contracted artists, arts professionals been able to apply for unemployment, but now we can. Never before have small businesses been able to apply through the SBA for loans for a period of 90 days. And after those 90 days, the loan is forgiven. I mean, so there's unprecedented guidelines that are coming along with these funds. So if you think you don't qualify, you're probably wrong. So please read into that relief package. I've given a link that is included in the list of resources that Self-Help Graphics and Art put together, that was put out by Californians for the Arts. So under there, they do a really nice job at summarizing all of those opportunities that relate to the federal relief package. Okay, so I'm gonna give everyone here a little bit of an inside scoop. You probably have already learned about the number of opportunities through, I think it was Creative Capital put out one of the first initial lists of emergency grants for artists. If you have not visited that list, please do so. I think it's included in that resource list again. So a little inside scoop, LULAC is working on various rounds of funding for artists and arts organizations. We're in the works currently. The first announcement is going to go out or go live, I believe, at the end of this week. So if you don't already follow the National Association for Latino Arts and Culture, please do on social media. That's where we'll be getting the word out to everyone. This first round are small micro grants. They're not a lot. These were board designated funds from the organization itself to support immediately our artists, but there's another round coming that will be more substantive. So please look out for that. So most funders, when you go to these various applications, they're not asking complicated questions. They're not asking you to please, what you normally see in artist grants and artist funding, fellowships, pardon me, it's kind of complicated. Give us your artist statement, or give us how your work relates to community, and give us the concept of your project. None of that is intentionally, none of those complicated questions are included in most of these applications, because they really just want to get resources into the hands of artists. So it's not a whole lot of work to get some of this support. In terms of strategy, it's difficult to say. A lot of funders are doing the first come, first serve. However, the conversations that I am having, I am really advocating that each funder, whoever the funder is, really remind themselves of their commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion. What we see happening, or who we identify in our society as the most vulnerable, is parallel or is mirrored within our arts and culture field. So we already have been talking about inequities, the lack of inclusion, et cetera, for 5 years now. We've done a lot of work. There's been a lot of money going around there for that work. To throw it all away now and not look at how funding is being distributed to some of those underserved groups is really a missed opportunity. So part of my work now is reminding the circles that I am in and speaking in currently. As an artist applying, if there is a little paragraph where they ask you to make a statement, it is really important to highlight that. Of course it's your choice, but I think that if collectively as a group, as artists are applying for these funds, if we point to and hold accountable these funders to their diversity, equity, and inclusion commitments, I think it will really help highlight your case, highlight your application among the hundreds that are coming through. So I really would recommend that if you have to write a 2 or 3 sentence statement, that's part of your statement, that you say, I am a part of those groups who are traditionally not funded. I am a member of a community, of a cultural community, who have historically been underfunded in arts and culture. So that's just a recommendation that I would make as you go through these resources. I would also, if there is a question posed about what it is your practice is, don't just focus on your core practice. So if you're a painter, but you do arts education programming with, an arts organization or institution, include everything that you do to serve the ecosystem. Include, if you're doing gatherings and workshops or ateliers at self-help, like include all of those activities, which oftentimes lend themselves to how you produce and create and sell work, or how you operate and activate the creative communities that you're in. That is a service. It's not formalized, but I think it's important to include all of the activities that your practice includes, whether it's alone or in collaboration with other artists. So one of the things that I have been also that's been kind of a thread, a common theme that's coming up now in my work is not just, we've heard collaboration is key. Collaboration is a necessity right now for everyone. So if there are opportunities that you as individual artists can imagine to collaboratively and creatively help support each other, that is really powerful, not just in relation to funders and grants and fellowships or emergency support that's happening, but also just within our common within our communities, within the ideas of convivencia, right? We live together, we work together, we have to support each other. And so I know it can be challenging right now because there's a lot of fear happening. We're all scared about what's gonna happen next. But I know that Xochitl is gonna offer some, that toolkit, and it's not a coincidence that much of the value that comes from individual, these emergency grants and these organizing opportunities to increase the value for your work and also for the work of our culturally specific organizations is not different from that self-care. They are parallel. We need to work together right now. We need to advocate together. We need to care for each other. And one great example that started a couple of weeks ago was, I don't know if in case you missed it, it's the hashtag artist support pledge. So this was, if you go on and look up hashtag artist support pledge, essentially what this is, it is artists who commit to the pledge will post images of a work that's for sale for no more than $200. Each time their sales reach $1,000, more or less, they promise to buy another artist's work for $200. So this is something that's it's kind of like our tandas, right? We're putting into a common pool, and then, we each kind of, when we get what we need, then we buy another artist, or we give back into the pool. So I thought it was a great example of the creative ways that artists might be able to work together to support each other. So look that up. It's artist. I don't believe I included it on the resource list. I apologize, but it's hashtag artist support pledge. And I think there's directions somewhere up in there in the first, in some of the earlier posts. So I really, like I said before, there's a long list of funds, of opportunities, of grants that are currently circling now. Don't forget about all of the other usual suspects and usual programs and deadlines that happen year to year, because they're not going away. So you might, if you've never applied for some of these opportunities, definitely apply for them now. So that funding does not stop while this emergency funding is happening. They're happening at the same time. So please look into sort of, those, I didn't include those usual suspects, those year-to-year artist opportunities like the COLA grant, or like what is it? The Pasadena, what is the Pasadena Arts Fund? I forget the name of it. But those artist grants that are commonly just have been out there for a while. Definitely apply for those now. And I would really just look forward to the questions, because I think that's where I can be most helpful in giving some information about the specific funder, or giving information about how to even access the application. How much time do I have? Am I out of time? I'm good?
To 6:50. So 10 more minutes.
Thank you. Okay. So I want to offer, if you don't already know, if you go to my website and you look at, my services, at the last one, there's a pro bono one, and it says pro bono services for artists. So I don't charge, like even before this all happened, this was something that I do to give to the people that I love and that I admire, and the whole reason why I'm in this business. So I'm going to extend that offer for this purpose. If you need help, number one, I'm not going to do the grant for you, but if you need help to get a sense of, is this something that would be good? Like, should I waste my time? Should I not? So if you need help assessing kind of who to apply to and who to not, I would be happy to give you that advice. Number two, if you need help in any of the narratives, like conceptualizing kind of an approach or an outline, or if you need help, if you need me to take a look at a narrative and edit it for you, and give you recommendations of what to include, what not to include, I'm offering that here to whoever needs it. And I think my email is provided somewhere, maybe. If not, you can go to my website, the email's there too, or DM me. So that, if I can help be of service that way, I definitely want to offer that to folks here, because I want to remind everyone that we're challenged both at a personal level, but that personal level reflects the challenges that are happening within the field and the funders as a whole as well. We need to speak to the need for greater equity in times of crisis, not, let's just throw a blanket of equality and give everybody a little something, like the $1,200 stimulus funds that the government is giving everyone. We really need to say, I am an artist, however you describe yourself, and I am a part of communities that do not normally get funds. So just as a reminder, I wanted to share before I finish some of the numbers that came out of a report done in 2017. So just out of all of the arts funding that happens in the country, only 2% of all cultural institutions in the US, I'm sorry, just 2% of all cultural institutions in the US receive nearly 60% of all contributed revenue. So that's not too different about what we hear about the 1%, right? Like, so it's, again, it's reflecting what's happening on the ground, and with individual artists reflects kind of the greater societal inequities that we're all aware of. But even when a city's population is very diverse, including places with majority minority populations, cultural philanthropy does not allocate significant funds to organizations and artists dedicated primarily to serving those underserved communities. So in Los Angeles, whose population is more than 72% people of color, and where 24% of the city's cultural group self-identifies, focusing primarily on communities of color, low-income populations, LGBTQ, et cetera, just 8% of all arts foundation funding goes directly to us. So this is the time, if you've never done it before, this is the time that through these emergency funds, through these applications, to honk your diversity, equity, and inclusion horn. This is the time to say there is no greater need than now. And I can certainly help you craft the wording that would be most impactful there. So I'm gonna wrap it up, and I'm looking forward to some of the specific questions that you have, and then I'm sure we will remind folks of how to access that list of resources. So again, just wanna offer, if you need help sifting through the lists and understanding which are the best, you know, at least primarily to apply for, or if you need help to creating a narrative or to edit a narrative that you already have, I'm open, I'm here for you, and yeah, let's get this money.
I do have a question. I was going to save the questions altogether, but I do have one question, and then I'll follow up again at the end. And then obviously, if anybody else has questions, again, reminder to put them on the chat box and also through Facebook. And yes, we will list all the resources on our website. This is being recorded, so the video as well as all of the resources that all of our speakers will provide will be available on our website, including the new one with the hashtag Artist Support Pledge. One question that you brought up, one comment you brought up about the LULAC grant, the upcoming ones, there'll be 2 rounds, one, the micro grants, and then eventually, hopefully, larger grants. Can you apply for both?
I believe so, although the guidelines are still being worked on as we speak. And the guidelines for the micro grants are what are in front of, like, are, you know, that's what they're working on to get out at the end of the week. But I'm not, I will double check that, but I'm sure when the second round is ready to go out, that the guidelines will have that, outlined. And no organization, no service organization more than National Association of Latino Arts and Culture understands the needs of our artists and our organizations. So they are doing everything to design this emergency fund in a way that has very little limitations. They understand that, you know, hey, we just need to get the support out. And they've done this before. They did this, LULAC did a similar emergency grant rollout for artists in Puerto Rico. So this is not new. We're not learning as we go along. This has actually been done, and this is just at a larger scale. So please, follow them and check out their website. I think I included the COVID resource page.
Yes, you did.
Yeah,
yes.
On the website.
And I'm going to use this opportunity to also share that next Wednesday we'll host another artist lab, and we'll be much better at the beginning. And we're going to have Linda Vallejo, an artist and also a grant writer, talk about the major points that funders are looking for And she's going to focus on two types of grants. These emergency grants that are being available on our, that are available now and that are easier to apply for, but also those was it usual suspects, as you call them. So one is that I mentioned to you the other day was the Paula Krausner Foundation, which provides medical but also financial support for a year. Those are a little more complicated, but that support is will be there next Wednesday at 7:15, also via Zoom and Facebook Live. So I invite everyone to join us.
I think that's great. Just one last point, and with regard to Linda's contributions, which are so important. Many of you probably, or some of you probably have sat on funding panels, right, as a peer. And I certainly have and continue to do so. And what I see every time I look at whether it's local or, you know, focused at a national level, I'm like, where are our artists? Why aren't we applying? You know, and I've had conversations with artists, and I think it goes back to, number one, I don't want to be held to a set of expectations. I don't want to feel like because I get this money, I'm under pressure to produce. And number two, I don't know, I just don't have time, or, you know, it's not a transactional kind of thing. It takes a while to hear back. But I think, like everyone in this moment, we're all learning new things out of necessity.
Mm-hmm.
So I think this is a great opportunity to, if you haven't already, flex this muscle of applying for every opportunity that you possibly can. This is a great way to dip your toe in the water in ways that are very, very easy and accessible.
Yeah, I just was reminded by our PR consultant Jennifer Cuevas that all of those resources that we've mentioned are also available on our Linktree list of resources. So with that, I'll invite Edna to share even more resources on the city resources that are available to us.
Thank you, Marbella, and thank you everyone for joining. Super excited to be with you all on Facebook Live. It's my first time, so I'm really excited. I'm gonna go ahead and do this as a presentation, so just give me one moment as I share my screen. Let's see. Oh, let's see, sorry, I'm having some technical difficulties. Can everybody see my screen? No? Okay. Give me 1 minute. Sorry, bear with me. How about now?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So just wanted to share some resources that the city has put together during this time. We understand that it's been very stressful for all of us. And we want to make sure, the mayor wants to make sure that you know that we're doing everything we can to make sure that you feel like the city has your back. So again, I'm Edna, I'm the Mayor's East Area Representative, and we're just gonna go ahead and dive right in. So really, Mayor Garcetti's COVID-19 response efforts can be highlighted in 4 main buckets, I like to call them. So the first bucket is testing. So we know that through testing is really the way that we're gonna be able to identify where we're at in this crisis and how LA is responding, and whether the mechanisms and the efforts that we've put into place are working. The next would be hospital beds. We've been focusing a lot on making sure that LA is prepared to handle this public health crisis head on. One of the most recent developments being that on Friday, the USNS Mercy landed in the port of LA, bringing 1,000 hospital beds that were much needed to the city and the county. So we're very excited about that. And then additionally, we are looking to open up and turn the convention center into a field hospital as well. So we're very excited and hope to have some more information on that in the coming days. The next bucket would fall under homelessness. And again, these are the 4 buckets that he focuses on. And then today we're really going to be talking about economic dislocation. I put a 5th kind of bucket here because I know that even though he doesn't, kind of consider it his priority, he really has been doing a great job of keeping Los Angeles informed. I'll talk a lot about how you can stay in the know on everything COVID related regarding the city. But also the 5th bucket, keeping Angelenos informed, is definitely my main priority. And that's why it was so important. I'm so happy to join you all today with this Help Graphics Facebook Live. So we're going to go ahead and dive right in. So before we get into the economic dislocation information, I wanted to share with you all a quick testing update from the city of LA. So currently we have 5 testing sites up and running throughout the city. For the moment, these tests are strictly limited to residents of LA County and those who are high risk and the most vulnerable. So we're really focusing on 3 different populations. The 3 populations are those who are 65 and over and are exhibiting symptoms, those who have an underlying health condition, and those who are subject to a mandatory 14-day quarantine due to a confirmed exposure. Those are the 3 populations where we're really working hard to ramp up testing, but currently those are the people that we're prioritizing, as those are the people that have the highest need. This PowerPoint will be shared with Self-Help Graphics so that they can upload it to their resources guide. So if you want, you can take screenshots, but it'll also be published on Self-Help Graphics page for your reference, and all of the links will be included. Anyone that's interested in accessing testing, if they fall under those 3 categories, if you or a loved one fall under those 3 categories, you can access testing by going to coronavirus.lacity.org/testing, and that's where you can request testing for you and a loved one. Every day we have approximately 2,500 tests available for Angelenos, and again, we're really working hard to ramp up that testing capability, but currently it's 2,500 a day. If you go online and you try to request testing and it's filled up for that day, you'll be prompted to request testing for the next available day. So that's kind of something new that came online in the last couple of days. Before, you would have to check every day. Now you are able to secure a date for a later day. Some of the highlights, these numbers are a little out of date. I wasn't able to update them after the mayor's briefing today, but these are the numbers that were released yesterday. So to date, we have about 8,373 tests completed. All of these tests are free of charge for Angelenos. So we're very excited to be offering this service. Additionally, we hope to have about 20,000 tests completed by the end of this work week. So really looking forward to that. And we've also recently announced a partnership with UPS and Everlywell to add more tests per day. With our partnership through UPS and Everlywell, we're excited to start doing some testing in Skid Row as well, and offering testing for clinics and service providers in Skid Row to be able to have folks that are experiencing homelessness be able to access testing. So in terms of city resources and information and all of the economic dislocation work that we've been focusing on, there's a ton being done, but today I'm going to really focus on 5 different kind of buckets. So the first will be the eviction moratorium and resources for renters. We know that LA is a city of renters, and we want to make sure that we're keeping our renters informed and protected. We're going to be talking about small business loans, information on unemployment, and the LA Jobs Portal, which recently launched last week. We'll talk about food access, utility relief, and other programs and resources. And then lastly, we'll also discuss some of the help that we've identified for immigrants and folks that are undocumented. And I really just want to highlight the website, coronavirus.lacity.org is really your one-stop shop for resources, information, staying in the know on the latest information regarding coronavirus in the city of LA. So really, really want to prompt you to go to that website anytime you have any doubts or questions about LA's response to coronavirus. Our comms team and the team that updates that website has been working tirelessly to get you all of the information and answer all of your questions regarding the city's response to coronavirus. So please make sure that you go on that website and get all of the information that you need. I'm sure that we're not going to cover everything today, but a lot of the answers to your questions will be you can find them on that website. So I highly encourage you to check it out. In terms of eviction moratorium and resources, this has been something that has been developing a lot throughout the last couple of days, and everything with the coronavirus has been fluid. I'll talk a little bit about how you can stay in the know with me personally towards the end of the presentation. Whoops. But Marbella knows that every day at 8:30, I host a community call where I hear feedback and other, concerns about how the directives are playing out in real time. And the city's been working really hard to address those concerns. So every day things are fluid and constantly changing, and the eviction moratorium and the resources for renters are no different. So yesterday, Mayor Garcetti signed an ordinance passed by the City Council on Friday, March 27th. This emergency eviction moratorium is for commercial and residential evictions, so it puts a moratorium on evictions. So even though there's a moratorium on evictions, folks are still will need to pay rent. However, any residential tenants will have 12 months to pay back rent after the emergency COVID-19 order was put into place. So for example, if the emergency order is lifted in July, then you have until July of 2021 to pay back your back rent. Commercial tenants will have 3 months to pay back rent on any of their missed payments. The moratorium also prohibits Ellis Act eviction. So what that means is that a tenant cannot be evicted by their landlord, for example, because the landlord wants to do any renovations or any type of work in the units. Additionally, there will be no evictions for non-payment, unapproved tenants, and there will not be any late fees on back rent. I put a little asterisk next to unapproved tenants. That is subject to, for example, if for whatever reason your grandmother or a parent or someone needs to move in with you during this emergency time so that you can care for them, but they are not listed on your lease, your landlord cannot evict you because you have your family member moving into your residential unit. Additionally, the mayor yesterday announced some increased tenant protections as well. So as you know, in LA, we have our rent stabilization ordinance. That's kind of LA's flavor of rent control. So what that is that RSO units will not be able to receive rent increases until after the emergency order is over. So tenants in RSO units every year are subject to a rent increase. It's based on a percentage. This year's approved percentage was 4%. Because of the mayor's emergency order, that increase will not be able to be implemented until 60 days after the emergency order is lifted. So for example, I'll give you a very personal example. I live in an RSO unit in the city of LA. Usually my landlord raises my rent around July. It's about 4%. If the emergency order is still in effect come July, my landlord will not be able to raise my rent for the approved percentage. For more information, we have a very, very comprehensive FAQ on HCID's website. HCID is the Housing and Community Investment Department with the city, and you can visit them online for more information. Additionally, they do have a hotline that you can call. It's Monday through Friday from 8:30 to 4 p.m., I believe, and you can call them and speak to a live representative and ask any questions you may have. Okay. Okay. We're going to go into small business loans. So in order to provide some more assistance to our small businesses that we know are hurting, we do have a small business microloan program. It's run through our Economic and Workforce Development Department, or EWDD. The link for this is on the bottom of this slide. You can go ahead and click there for more information. Currently, we're offering loans ranging from $5,000 to $20,000. There are 3 options for these loans. There's one option where it's a 0% interest-free loan for up to 18 months with repayment deferred for up to 6 months. So that's option 1. Option 2 is a 3% loan for a term up to 5 years with a repayment deferred up to 12 months. That is for-profit businesses. And then option 3 is a 2% loan for a term for up to 5 years with repayment deferred to up to 12 months. And these are for tax-exempt businesses. Again, for more information, you can visit our emergency small business loan page. It's listed in the PowerPoint. You can go ahead and access it there. Additionally, if you are a freelancer or if you have your own business of one person, you can go ahead and apply, and those loans are evaluated on a case-by-case basis. So similar to what Evonne was mentioning, it doesn't hurt to ask, right? So we highly encourage you to apply and try to seek that money out. Our small business team here at the mayor's office has made these business loans very accessible. We want to make sure that folks don't feel like they're inaccessible. So please go ahead and apply if you're interested in that. Additionally, on EWDD's website, if you click that link to learn more about our small business loan program, you'll also get a link to our small business resiliency toolkit, where they have tips about how to withstand this crisis that we're all going through. There are also some other county and state benefits. I'm not an expert on this. I work for the city of LA and the mayor, so I'm not a 100% expert on this, but self-employed individuals may be eligible to apply for some temporary financial assistance through DPSS. The link is on the slide in front of you, and I'll go ahead again and share the slide deck with self-help graphics. There may be a possibility that any self-employed person may be eligible for disability insurance as well. And you can go ahead and click the link on the slide for more information on the eligibility requirements for those programs. And lastly, you may be eligible for paid family leave as well if you need to take time off to work from work to care for any one of your family members. So again, unfortunately, I'm not an expert on these programs. I can provide information. And at the end of the slide is my email. If you have any specific questions and you'd like for me to help kind of guide you through the process, I'm happy to be available for that. But unfortunately, I won't be able to answer too many specific questions on these programs. And lastly, the mayor launched last week the LA Jobs Portal. It is a one-stop shop for all things employment in the city of LA. Here, we're posting job openings, resources for job seekers, and then also if you are hiring in the city of LA and would like to have your employment opportunities featured on the website, there's a way for you to sign up for that as well. So lajobsportal.org is the one-stop shop for all things employment. So I highly encourage you, if you're interested in looking for any part-time work or temporary work, to go ahead and visit that website. Food access. There shouldn't be any reason why folks should be experiencing hunger at this time. We've seen a number of different nonprofits, community-based organizations, and other entities step up and provide food access to families and students during this time. One of those is the LAUSD free meals. So if you are a parent of a student or a guardian of a student at a LAUSD school or any school throughout LA County, you can access free meals at their grab-and-go centers. There are 60 sites currently operating throughout the county, and they operate every day from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. Each child can take home 2 nutritious meals in addition to their family as well. There's a link on the slide for where you can access the grab-and-go sites. Again, they're all over the county. I know for a fact that there's one in Eagle Rock, there's one in Sotomayor, there's one in Boyle Heights. There's just a number throughout LA City and LA County, so highly encourage you to take advantage of that. And these sites are going to be moved around depending on where people need them the most. So in order to stay up to date with the most recent locations, we encourage you to follow at LA Schools on Twitter or at Austin LA Schools for the most up-to-date and recent information in case a site gets moved or another site opens up. Also, the LA Regional Food Bank has a network of about 1,000 pantries throughout the county. And there's a link on the slide in front of you to find the pantry nearest you. Additionally, through the work that we've been doing on the east side, many of these pantries are now offering delivery services. So I highly encourage you to find a pantry and call them and see how you can get involved with them and take advantage of the food that they are offering. For seniors specifically, we have 2 resources. The Department of Aging through the City of LA is distributing packaged and frozen meals for older adults. There's a map that's accessible where you can find the senior center nearest you, and you can find more information on their delivery operations. And then additionally, through the county, there is the senior center lunch program, and it's run through their WeedAx program, and you can click on the link in front of you and call them and schedule your food delivery operation for a senior or a loved one that you care for. Some final resources and actions that we've taken for relief during this time. So LADWP and the gas company will not turn off service for non-payment of bills. I highly encourage you that if you are unable to pay your bill, that you notify the gas company or LADWP immediately. You can apply online for their payment plan at ladwp.com, or you can call their customer care hotline to speak to a representative. And additionally, SoCal Gas, they are also not going to be shutting off service for lack of non-payment. You can call their customer service line there in front of you. Additionally, today, the County Board of Supervisors met, and they made actions so that all utility companies throughout the County of LA will also not be turning off service for lack of payment. In the city of LA, we've made all LADOT dash buses free to ride. We want to make sure that people can get to where they're going and get to the jobs or to the hospital to access other groceries or other services that they need without having to worry about the burden of how they're going to pay on how to get there. So all LADOT dash buses are now free to ride in the city of LA. So we're very excited to announce that. Additionally, because the DMV services are limited and oftentimes some of the offices are now closed, the LA City will not cite nor tow vehicles with expired registrations, and they will not give tickets to individuals with expired driver's licenses. Again, this is to lessen the burden and the fear of having expired DMV registrations and licenses. And then last week, we also announced that through different partnerships, many of the internet service providers are now offering free or low-cost internet. We understand that right now it's critical for people to get on the web, and the easiest way to get information on all of the different services that are being offered low-cost or for free is to go to coronavirus.lacity.org/getconnected. There would be your one-stop shop for anything related to the internet. We understand that folks, as they're teleworking, they need access to reliable internet, or as their children are staying home from school, they need access to distance learning. So that is why we made one website where you can get all of the information about free internet or low-cost internet services. Additionally, there's also information about how to get free or low-cost cell phones for low-income individuals as well. So our Mayor's Office of Immigrant Affairs put together a really comprehensive guide for resources for folks that are undocumented. On the guide, which is linked in the slide, you can find information about public charge, food, health, children and families, and other services. This guide is available through, it's a Google Doc, and it's updated periodically as we get more resources from different groups throughout the city and the county and the state. So we try to keep it pretty up to date, but if you or someone you know is undocumented, we know that the federal safety net, unfortunately, will not cover a lot of cover the undocumented population. So we wanted to make sure that we put together a guide that has resources for folks that may not be able to be captured in that federal safety net. And to that effort, the Mayor's Fund for Los Angeles is set up to be accessible for anyone regardless of immigration status. We're hoping to get that online in the next couple of days. But currently we are accepting donations for the Mayor's Fund. And again, we're focusing on supporting families, healthcare workers, and unhoused Angelenos. You can click on the link in front of you to donate if you have the means to. The goal is to raise $10 million throughout the city, and we've been well on our way to meet that goal. And two other ones I just wanted to highlight for everyone on the call that may be of interest is the Garment Worker Center. So garment workers are often not eligible for unemployment benefits, and therefore the Garment Worker Center is collecting donations to help provide relief for folks that work in the garment industry. You can click there to donate if you're interested and have the means to. And lastly, some groups on the east side and throughout LA City have started up the Street Vendor Fund. And again, that is also to provide direct cash assistance for LA street vendors who are struggling during this time. And the link is in front of you if you're interested in donating to those relief efforts. And lastly, we know that things are constantly evolving. Every day we get new news. The best way to stay connected, I just kind of highlighted a couple different ways that I would encourage you to stay connected. The mayor is hosting daily briefings. Those take place Sunday through Friday at 5:15. He broadcasts them live on Facebook Live. You can also watch them at coronavirus.lacity.org. And additionally, many news channels are also cutting their programming in order to stream the mayor's briefings. So again, 5:15 every day, Sunday through Friday. The mayor also periodically will send out newsletters with the biggest announcements of that day or of that week. And you can sign up on the link in the slideshow. The county is also having daily briefings. They're Monday through Friday at approximately 1 p.m. Before I send this over to Self-Help, I'll add the links, but you can watch those on the Department of Public Health's Facebook page. You can also watch them on local channels. And lastly, please feel free, if you have any questions, you can reach out directly to me. I provided my email there. If you're interested in getting looped into my daily emails and community calls, please make sure to send me an email and I'll be happy to add you to the newsletter and the listserv. I think that's a really great way to also stay in the know, and you can also provide feedback because I want to hear from the community as to how the directives are playing out in real time. And with that, thank you so much for having me. I look forward to answering some of your questions. I'm going to kick it off over to Self-Help. Thank you.
Thank you, Edna and Evonne, too. Again, I want to follow up with any questions that we may have either through Zoom or through Facebook Live, and give them opportunity to post. I want to come back to the topic of immigrants because, like you mentioned, Edna, that a lot of the federal money does not apply or support immigrants, undocumented immigrants. And I want to go back to also artist grants, Evonne, just so you can talk about that most grants do not ask the question, that doesn't deter your eligibility.
Yeah, so I think we're pretty clear that federal funded emergency relief programs are not going to address the needs of our undocumented community members. And I just learned, I was a little surprised, but maybe not, that some private foundations have also restricted for whatever reasons, I'm not sure of, but certainly the majority of private foundation, when I say private foundations, I'm talking, most of the foundations we imagine are private. For example, whether it's the Ford or the Mellon foundations or, most of these private foundations will not ask questions about status. However, there are some exceptions. Again, I just learned this a couple of days ago and I was like, wow, okay, hey, always learning, everybody's always learning. Certainly, our organizations who are, for example, our organizations, LULAC, is sensitive to the needs of our communities across the board. Mm-hmm. So, again, I think there's a lot of thinking happening around inclusion values and equity aspirations within our communities and service organizations. Outside of that, I think, it's just kind of, I would say the majority are sensitive to those things as well, but the guidelines should should lead you to that information and those specifics.
Yeah. And Edna, with regards to the online accessibility and thinking about testing and to signing up for that, is on the online format the only way to register to get tested?
So I'm going to go ahead and update our resources, because I didn't add the mayor's help desk. So we have 10 operators operating every day, Monday through Sunday. It's like every day of the week, and you can call the mayor's help desk, and they can assist you with filling out the form and getting an appointment. But they also highly encourage that if you know someone that doesn't have internet access or can't access, if you could please be their ambassador and their advocate in signing them up for it. But yeah, the mayor's help desk is a really good tool for anyone that, if you can't find information on like coronavirus.lacity.org, or you can't find it anywhere else in the resources, you can always call, and we have, again, 10 operators every day standing by, answering phones and answering questions like that, and they can assist with directing you through the different processes.
And in reference to the rent moratorium, and if there are situations when there are landlords who take advantage of people who may not be informed of this moratorium, how can somebody seek for help if they are imposing, are getting a threat of eviction or a rent hike?
Yeah, great question. And again, I'll update the slide deck before I share it with some more info on that. But the best way would be to call HSID's hotline. And then the other way is that even before this coronavirus emergency order was in effect, HSID has a complaint portal where any tenant can submit complaints on their landlord, whether it be, their unit is like needs repairs and the tenant and the landlord hasn't made them, or they're being harassed by their landlord or whatever it may be, and they have a complaint portal where you can report that. Just for everyone's knowledge, in the new order on evictions, landlords are supposed to be informing the tenants within 60 days of the order that these new orders are in place. We know there's a lot of good landlords. I'm lucky. My landlord actually sent me a letter with like detailing the different orders and informing me of, I mean, I already work at the city, so I was aware, right? But very good practice from my landlord. But we know there's a lot of landlords that don't do that, right? So they can the tenants can file for complaints online and also through the hotline. So I'll go ahead and include that in the slide deck, so folks have links to that where people can access and file those complaints and direct those there. But also, sorry, real quick. I also, and Marbella, you've been on my call, so I also highly encourage everyone on this call, like you are all leaders, right? And you are all members of communities. And so, today, all of the information that Evonne and I shared, please make sure that, you continue to spread it and share it with your own networks, because that's how this information will continue to grow and spread, right? Mm-hmm. So highly encourage you all to continue to share this information out so that, everyone in LA can be as informed as possible.
Thank you. And before we go on to Xochitl, I want to mention that I received the newsletter from the California LGBT Arts Alliance, and it talks about facts about the unemployment benefits and how the unemployment does cover gig workers, freelancers, and independent contractors. And that under the plan, eligible workers will get an extra $600 per week. And in California, the maximum that California unemployment the minimum would be $450 in California. So I'll share that also on our list. And it also has more information on there for freelance workers. Let's see. So with that, we will, Sorry.
Hey, Maria.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Is that okay if I answer a couple questions on the chat that came in?
Oh,
to
no,
me?
no, please go ahead.
Oh, okay. So I got a couple questions. So someone asked me on the chat, how should landlords address this topic with residents? And my recommendation is always, everything should be in writing. All of your communications with your landlord should always be in writing. Same thing for the landlord to the tenant, just because, hopefully it doesn't get to this, but if in the event that you have to produce, evidence or receipts, right, you want to make sure that you have letters and things in writing. And unfortunately, a lot of the agreements that are made between tenants and landlords sometimes are just by word of mouth, but that's not going to hold up in a court of law. So always, always, always get everything written in writing. Even if your landlord won't issue you a letter, what you can do is you can also write a letter and then send it to your landlord saying, this is what we discussed, and then have your landlord sign it. And then that way, at least it's a written record of the conversation that you all had. And then I had another question that came in, and it said, I'm concerned about the safety for those essential workers. What is the mayor's office doing to ensure safety of essential workers as far as hand sanitizer, masks, and that? So actually today I was issued my first mask, my first coronavirus mask. I'll go ahead and put it in the scrapbook later after we're all done with this. But we are through a portal that's made available. It's called laprotects.org. We are sourcing both manufacturers that are producing masks and with our procurement team trying to purchase up of supplies and equipment. And then also on LA Protects, people can request PPE as well. So there's the two things, and PPE is the personal protective equipment. So things like masks and gloves and things like that. So we are trying to source more equipment and provide it to those that need it most.
Would you be interested in hiring artists to make those?
Well, if you're a manufacturer, again, you can go on laprotects.org and you can fill out a form for being a manufacturer.
I also, let's see, so is it sure that there is a rent moratorium for everyone and we can write a letter about it to the landlord? Yes, correct. That's another question that just came in.
Sorry, can you repeat that?
Is it for sure that there is a rent moratorium for everyone and we can write a letter about it to our landlord?
So it's not a rent moratorium. Landlords still can collect rent. And if you can pay your rent, you should. We know that a lot of landlords are mom and pop landlords and they rely on the funding to pay for their mortgages and things like that. So, but your landlord cannot evict you. The moratorium is on the evictions. Your landlord cannot evict you for lack of payment because you're not able to pay because you're unemployed or you were laid off from your job. So the moratorium is on evictions, not rent.
Okay.
Can I just address one of the questions about the SBA loans and how to get assistance there? So I am you all know I'm a consultant, and so I am a contractor, I'm a freelance, whatever you want to call it. I have to have liability insurance for the work that I do with both public and private clients. And one of the things that I received yesterday from my insurance carrier was information about the SBA loans, how to contact them about filing a request, and how they might help. So if you have an insurance carrier that covers your business liability, portfolio, I would really recommend contacting them as an intermediary to give you more information or the latest information, or how you might be able to work around some of the challenges that you have with requirements or information requested, etc. If you don't, again, please visit the Californians for the Arts link on the resource page, because they give a very simple, they break it down really simply in ways that you can maybe, that might benefit your process for applying for those loans. Also, I know that Californians for the Art, I'm sorry, California Lawyers for the Arts might also be a resource for you with regard to either SBA loans or whatever your questions are at the moment with how you as a business or you as a solopreneur navigate all of these opportunities and loans and support and questions, et cetera.
So I wanted to take this opportunity to remind everyone that tomorrow is Census Day. And because of all the resources that are being channeled to the city, the county, California, and to the individual districts and neighborhoods, that's why it's so important to participate and be counted. Even those who are undocumented, documented, people living, multiple families living in a home, etc. And so again, you have 3 forms of participating and completing the form. It's online through the snail mail or by phone. And so, you know, we have a lot of time on our hands right now, so please do it. And there's a lot of information out there. We're also providing a lot of information ourselves at Self-Help Graphics. And tomorrow at 4 o'clock, we'll be doing a live assistance, filling out the form tomorrow live. So we'll do it, answer each question step by step and answer any questions about that. Let's see, Lluvia,
if I can just offer renters, if you know, in addition to calling the hotline that Edna provided, Inquilinos Unidos, who is an organization, which is an organization that I've worked with in the past. They have tenant-led efforts. Their information is super accessible. So if you want to, in addition to all of the other resources, contact them for advice, I would recommend doing that. They're located in the MacArthur Park area, but they also have, you know, they serve other areas. Also, the East Los Angeles Community Corporation might be able to help there.
Okay. There's one question through Facebook, and you know what, actually, all the questions, any new questions, just to get the program going, any new questions, please continue sending them and posting them on our chat box or the Facebook, and we will follow up with Edna, Xochitl, and Evonne and respond to you directly. And again, you can also contact them directly. So with that, thank you again, Evonne and Edna, for all the work that you do and will be doing. We have a lot of work ahead of us. And so now I'd like to welcome Xochitl.
Hi, everybody. Thank you all so much for sharing all of that valuable information and those resources. It's so important right now. All of you are so valuable to our community. So thank you very much. So right now, I would like to talk a little bit about self-care and the emotional toolkit. So if you have something to write with, to take notes, that would be helpful. And I'm gonna invite you to unmute yourselves. And the first question I wanna start off with is, what is self-care? What do you all see as self-care? And please feel welcome to join the conversation and unmute.
I'd like to share.
Kimberly?
I like to just share that, you know, I think that in many ways, self-care was seen as something selfish for a very long time. And so now I'm coming to this place where, like, I think rationally I knew for the past 10 years that, like, it was something very important for me to do in order to give back. And now I'm really understanding that it's that process of, like, filling my cup so that I can pour into other people.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for that. Yes, I think a lot of people have thought of self-care in the past as being selfish. And as these conversations continue to unfold, we see that it's not necessarily that connotation of selfishness, but more of self-preservation, right? So thank you. Thank you for that. Would anyone else like to share? What do you think self-care is?
Hi, my name is Maurice Flores, and I thank you for having me.
Hi, Maurice.
Hey, I am calling in all the way from New York City.
Yay.
I think that the point that I'm gonna make kind of negates self-care, so maybe I should have thought about it a bit more. But for me, self-care has been making sure that my special needs son is has you know, estate planning, you know, that he's set up just in case if anything happens. But that's not about me, that's about him. So maybe I should just check out. But yeah,
That's
it
valid.
feels good. It feels good to know that he's taken care of, and that just gives me a peace of mind that, you know, he will be cared for, you know, in any situation. So I don't know, feels like self-care at this stage.
Definitely. No, that is very valid because that is part of your safety and security and well-being, your family, your children.
Right.
So definitely anything that you can do to create a plan for your family, for your children, that's going to bring forth feelings of feeling well and balanced, right? So yes, definitely.
Having a peace of mind.
Yes, that brings you peace of mind. Yes.
Yeah, thank you so much for
count.
having me.
Thank you.
I'm enjoying this.
Thank you for joining.
I'd like to say something.
Okay.
First of all, this was amazingly informative. Thank you so much to everybody for inviting me and inviting us. But I think that this has brought us close as artists and as a humanity. And I'm thankful for that and excited for that part of what we're going through. I think there's going to be a lot of wonderful changes, so I try to focus on that. But for me, self-care is taking care of my needs, which is something that I'm always taking care of everybody else, making sure everybody else is comfortable with what I'm saying or what we're doing and art and the discussion of art. But self-care is just being true to your emotions, however scary, frightening, devastating, exciting as they are. Is just being true to yourself. And for once I'm saying, what are you feeling and why are you feeling that? And where does that come from? And what do you need to do? And as uncomfortable as it is, I'm shifting and I'm going through this metamorphosis here in my home by myself. And it's very real. And I talked to a friend of mine yesterday and I hadn't seen her for a while and I just started crying because I thought, this is such a strange reality for us now. But I just wanted to say that all the faces I see here today, I'm thankful for everything. You guys have always brought such good times and good smiles and good energy to my life. So I hope to be there as well. But thank you. And I think being there for each other and just being real as to what's going on, I think helps us all feel like we're just not alone, you know?
Yes. Thank you so much. Thank you for being true to your emotions and for trusting us to be vulnerable and open up your heart. That's very powerful. And it's a very, very important part of the healing process.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Thank you. I mean, Self-Help Graphics has been part of my family for 35 years.
Yeah.
So I did Self-Help Graphics when I was 18 years old.
Yeah, Self-Help Graphics is so Self-Help Graphics is definitely like an extended part of our family. I can relate to you. I lost my mother last year in March.
I'm sorry.
and we were able to hold her celebration of life at Self-Help Graphics. So I will forever be indebted and have a special relationship with Self-Help Graphics because it's so important, you know, be able to honor our loved ones with community, and you honoring your mother now, sharing about her with us. Thank you for that. Thank you so much. And I would just like
Thank you, guys. Thanks so much.
You're welcome. I would just like to say that from this moment on, what we talk about here, as far as people sharing personal stories, if we could please make an agreement to keep it confidential, because once people start sharing personal stories and personal experiences, we want to make sure that we keep that information safe with ourselves here in this group. Is that okay?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, thank you. So yeah, you got it. Self-care is basically things that we can do to gain a sense of life balance and well-being. So what I want to do is I want to share a tool that I love, and it's called the Self-Care Wheel by Olga Phoenix. It is available online, and we will be posting it up after the call so that you can have access to it. But I'm going to share my screen with you so that you can look at it now. And we can talk a little bit about it. Has anybody ever heard of the Self-Care Wheel?
No, it sounds cool.
All right, check it out. Yeah, it's super cool. So first I share my screen, right? This is the first time I'm doing this. Here we go. Share screen. I'm gonna pull it up and can you all see that? The
Yes.
Self-Care Wheel? Awesome, okay.
Can you raise it a bit?
Yes, so
Yeah,
this
cool.
is the Self-Care Wheel, and this one is in Spanish. It follows in English. And then there is a blank one that you can fill out or that you can recreate in any way that you like, maybe using colors or paint or different, different things, maybe a collage. So it breaks down self-care into 6 areas. And those areas are physical, psychological, emotional, spiritual, personal, and professional. So as you can see, each one has different ways that you can maintain or practice self-care. So for example, under psychological, there's self-reflection, therapy, journaling, self-awareness. Physical, safe housing, regular medical care, eating healthy or food security, exercise, being sexual. So all these different things, right? Based on your own needs. So I really like this because it has the blank wheel where you can personalize it and make it your own. And another area of self-care that I like to add in there is financial self-care, because I believe that our finances do have a very big impact on how we feel, depending on how we're doing with our income and our finances. So because this is the Artist Lab, you can also add your artistic self-care. What are your needs as an artist, right? What helps you to feel well as an artist? So hopefully you can make some time to fill in this wheel or recreate it and fill it in. But what we can do now is we can talk about some self-care rituals that make you feel well. So what is something that you like to do for self-care? If anybody would like to share.
Can I share?
Yeah, please.
So I really like creating wheels, actually. So this is really cool to see. I create wheels based on my cycle, every cycle, and I break it down in the phases, and then I break down what I think I need according to my current like life conditions, and I just break it down and like kind of like map it out in that way. And as I progress through my cycle, like I just kind of like check in with that. So it's like a form of organization.
Yes, that's so important. The organizing, prioritizing, planning, prepping, all of that helps to kind of get everything in order.
Yeah.
Which helps to ease the stress, right? When we can look at things and plan around it.
Yeah,
was that
exactly.
who's sharing? Is that Rosatzin?
Yeah.
Oh, thank you, Rosatzin. Thank you for
No
sharing.
problem. Thank you.
Would anyone else like to share? What do you like to do, or what rituals, self-care rituals do you have? Do you practice?
I like to get my hair done
Beautiful.
at a hair salon.
How does it make you feel?
I don't know, when I just get my hair done and my eyebrows done, I feel like $1,000,000. Like, I don't know, I just get this boost of confidence. Like if I put color in my hair and I get it done and do my eyebrows, that's like the trifecta.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. It's
Love
very
that feeling.
important, right? The way we look affects the way we feel.
Yeah, and the energy we give people.
Yes, the way we think, it affects everything. It all works together, like this wheel. So, I do want to talk a little bit.
I just wanted to share a little tip. First of all, I just wanted to appreciate Yolanda sharing and appreciate all of you all for creating the space for her to share. But one of the things that I learned to do, because Alexa and some of the others know I was a mad hatter when I was, working with organizations and leading organizations. And I learned that I needed to schedule my self-care things in my calendar. And no matter what, like if a client called and they were like, oh, we need to have a call. And I'm like, I'm sorry, I have a conflict at that time. Because if I'm not good, you're not gonna be good, right?
Yes.
And so it wasn't perfect. It wasn't like I went in and I put in my self-care things and ya estuvo, it was all like great. It took practice to really commit to myself. So it is a process of just being comfortable in putting you first, because if not, it's just like when we used to travel with the airplane, put the oxygen mask on yourself first. And it's really important, because whether it's exercise or just taking those deep breaths, it makes my brain work better. It makes my creative thinking work better. And so I just wanted to offer that experience, and also to offer to be gentle, because it's a process and it's not going to just happen once you decide it's going to happen. It's just practice. So thanks for everyone who shared, and hope that's helpful.
Thank you. That's a great tip. That's so important, to schedule your self-care into your calendar. And it is a practice, because even being able to speak up and say, I'm sorry, I won't be available at that time, right? You're carving out space for you. You're carving out space for your self-care. And in the long run, that'll have lots of benefits, right? For your mind, body, spirit, for everything, for your self-care wheel. So thank you for that. So I want to talk a little bit about the self-care process, right? Part of that is speaking up. So when we are talking about self-care, it does get romanticized a lot, and people, you know, will relate it to, you know, mani-pedi, self-care. Self-care, treat yourself, you know, which is fun, and we need that too. But I also want to talk about the actual process of checking in with ourselves. So the first thing that we can do in the self-care process is to notice how you feel. Notice how you feel physically, emotionally, and spiritually. Okay? Then you identify it. Are you feeling anxious? Are you feeling stressed? Are you feeling calm, happy, sad, angry, uncertain? Identify the emotion. Once you identify the emotion, you can then ask yourself, why? Why do I feel this way?
Mm-hmm.
When you ask yourself these questions, you're acknowledging that you have the answers, that you have everything that you need inside of you.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And you can begin to get to the root of those emotions. Emotions are energy. I believe that emotions are energy in motion, right? So they definitely, they're doing something inside of us. They're creating a feeling, they're creating energy. So checking in with ourselves, asking ourselves, how are we feeling? Identifying those emotions, we can then begin to release, right? So I'm feeling anxious. Okay, why am I feeling anxious? I feel anxious. Maybe I feel anxious because we're going through a pandemic. There's a loss of income, a loss in my usual routine or way of life, which brings on grief, sadness, uncertainty, all of these different things that tie in. And it lets you know and reminds you that all of that stress and anxiety is valid, that everything you're feeling is valid and that it's okay to feel that way. So what do you do about it? This is where you can release. You trust that you have all the answers inside of you. You remember that you're guided by your ancestors and that you are their wildest dreams. And you can begin to release by talking it out, writing it out, painting it out, drawing it out, singing it out, dancing it out, crying it out if you need to. Even saying it out loud, even if it's just you in an empty room, just get it out. As long as we have it inside, that energy will continue to create that imbalance. Write it out on a paper and burn it if you want. Offer it to the fire. But it needs to come out. Once it comes out, we're then creating space for ideas. We're creating space for solutions, which will then help us to remember how important it is to connect with our body and to remember how resilient we are. All of you are resilient. Resilience has been a running theme for me for the past few weeks. And I participated in a webinar over the weekend with Wendy Amara. She's wonderful. She hosted a webinar called My Future Self, and she talked about resilience. So what she asked us to do, and what I'm gonna ask you to do right now, is to think of a time in the past when you were resilient. What happened? What did you do? And how did you get through it? Just remind yourself of your resilience, of your power. Remind yourself that you have everything you need. Part of that resiliency can include creating a self-care practice for yourself. You can try grounding like we did at the beginning with some deep breathing, and we're going to do again at the end. And I wanted to make a fun play on words kind of activity as we are entering a new month, a new cycle, or a new wheel, like Rosatzin was saying. We're going to be entering April. We're in springtime. So springtime is the time to be creative. We're connected to the earth. The earth is healing. In spite of all of the uncertainty that's happening, the earth is so beautiful right now. The birds are still singing. The sky is clean. The air is cleaner. Mother Earth and our planet is healing. And because we're connected to her, we are also healing. And we're also ready to create and wanting to sprout, right? And give and make things. So I want to enter April on April 1st. Instead of honoring April Fool's Day, we're going to honor April's Fool. So April's full of gratitude, right? So go ahead and make a list of 5 things that you are grateful for. This is something we also talked about in the webinar with Wendy Amara. All of these are very important themes because they help us to shift our focus. There's a lot of things that are uncertain. There's a lot of things that will bring us stress. And there's a lot of things that may be going wrong. And it's okay to think about them. And it's okay to stress. And it's okay to worry because it's all happening so fast. And it's a very traumatic experience. And it's also okay to give yourself boundaries. Give yourself a time limit as to how long you want to think about things. And shift your focus. You can also shift your focus. You have that power. All right, I'm going to worry about all these things that I'm stressing about today, but tomorrow I'm going to give myself a break. So tonight I'm going to write a gratitude list, and tomorrow morning I'm going to read it. And the morning after that, I'm going to read it again. And then I'm going to read it at lunchtime, and I'm going to read it before bed. And you can start off with 5 things, go up to 10. Wendy Amara suggested that we choose 1 hour of our day, and then just make a list of 100 things that you're grateful for during that hour. So for example, from 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. when we first wake up, just start listing things that you are grateful for. Waking up, being grateful for another day of life, being grateful for your home, your bed. She even went as far as being thankful for your toothbrush, your toothpaste, right? Being able to buy basic necessities. Water, being thankful for water, clean water. Some people in our country don't even have access to clean water, or in different parts of the world, right? And in no way do I want to dismiss the struggles of people across the world or the country. But I just want to offer tools that can help us to honor all of it. It's wonderful to be well and feel good. And it's okay to take care of our well-being even though others are struggling, because that's the reality that we live in. And the more that we take care of ourselves and the more that we are well, we can then pour into their cups. We can then support others. Because if we can't take care of ourselves, then it's just gonna make our collective healing and our collective wellness that much harder. So I invite you to enter April with April's full of gratitude. I will also be sharing a self-care toolkit. I'm going to share it on the screen just so that you can see it. And this will be added to the list of resources that we are going to share. So really quickly, just to scan through, I want to recommend that you make a self-care toolkit for yourself, a toolkit for moments of emotional crisis. You can get a box or a binder and start to fill it with things that will help you. So the first one is to think of 2 or 3 trusted people with whom you feel safe reaching out to during moments of emotional crisis. Ask for their consent to be a part of your support system. Write their numbers down and put it in the box or put it in the binder, because getting consent will make it a little easier to remember that it is okay to reach out in those moments of emotional crisis. And it'll remind you that you're not alone. I know sometimes it can get hard or scary to reach out to someone. I know sometimes I've gone through an emotional crisis where I feel like I can't reach out to anyone. And then afterwards, after the fact, I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I felt that way. Like I have very dear friends and people that I love and trust. And I can't believe that in that moment, I felt so alone and like I could not reach out. So writing that number down, getting that consent is a reminder that you can reach out. You can even come up with a code word if reaching out still feels scary. I remember when I was in college, my best friend and I had code words, and I would text her whenever I needed some emotional support. All I would text was boom shakalaka. And you can come up with your own code word, but that one was ours. So whenever I would text her boom shakalaka, right away she would call me and she'd be like, what happened? What's wrong? You know? So sometimes it's just like, it just helps. There's also a list of resources, hotline numbers, Department of Mental Health, East LA Women's Center 24-hour crisis line, National Suicide Prevention Lifeline 211, mental health resources. There's free teletherapy through USC Telehealth. You just call them and sign up. Open Path Collective does sliding scale sessions. There's Indigenous Circle of Wellness that also offers sliding scale sessions. Southern California Counseling Center as well. There's the database Therapy for Latinx. List of support circles and programs on Instagram and social media. Community Circle LA, Women of Color Sister Collective, Bloom Homie, Kali Luna Gallery. For food security, self-care rituals, you can personalize all of this. So whatever helps you, and this will be in the resource handout or email that will follow. So I hope that was helpful to everybody. I know it's 8:04 and we should be closing out pretty soon with a grounding meditation. Does anyone have any questions? Oh, did it end? Oh wait, there we go. The view got smaller, so I only saw 6 people. There we go, got it. Does anyone have any questions or any comments? All right.
So just a reminder, we'll put up these the resources for everyone to share, and we'll definitely invite you back to lead some more of these meditations, but also know that it's tomorrow, Sochi, Wellness Wednesdays?
Tomorrow is Wellness Wednesday, yes.
So our youth committee started Wellness Wednesdays. It's usually once a month, but during this time we're gonna have it, this quarantine period, we'll have it every other week. So tomorrow you can join Sochi at what time?
Tomorrow at 6 p.m.
6 p.m. and they'll do, we do meditations. Also, when we have them in person, we do art making activities followed by a meditation or sound baths that we've had in the past. So with that, if there are any questions for Xochitl, we'll collect them and we'll send them to Xochitl, and then we'll connect you both or respond to you directly. And so with that, I want to thank everyone for joining. This won't be the last Artist Lab again. The next one will be next Wednesday at 10:15 with Linda Vallejo. And I'm going to say good night to everyone and thank you so much, because I want this evening to end with the meditation.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you again, Evonne, Edna, Xochitl, Alexa, for everything, and everyone here and Facebook to join us. We had a lot of people watching us on Facebook, and several of you joining us through Zoom Live. And again, the Artist Lab is for the purpose of gathering, sharing, experiencing. So we'll continue providing this platform for you. And who knows, it may evolve to something different when we're back out in the wild. So thank you again. I'll leave it to you, Sochi.
Thank you so much for bearing with us. So we'll shorten up the meditation. We'll do a 5-minute meditation. So I am going to play some music. Please let me know if you can hear it. I'm pulling it up. Can you hear that? Are you able to hear the music? Yes? Okay. So go ahead and close your eyes. Taking a deep breath. And release.
I am light, I am light.
Breathe in.
I am light, I am light.
And release. Keep your breathing pattern going.
I am not the things my family did. I am not the voices in my head. I am not the pieces of the brokenness inside. I am light. I am light.
Keep your breathing pattern going.
I am light. 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 I am light.
Go ahead and breathe in.
I'm not the mistakes that I have made, or any of the things that cause me pain. I am not the pieces of the dream I left behind.
Put one hand over your heart and one hand over your belly or your womb. Inhale and release. Repeat after me. I am safe. I am protected. I love and accept myself. Even though everything is not as I hope it would be, I love and accept myself. I am connected to the earth. I am connected to my ancestors. My ancestors guide me. I am deeply rooted. I am grounded. I plant seeds of love. I am connected to the fire. My spirit speaks. My ancestors guide me. I am connected to the wind. I speak up and I speak out. I speak truth to power. I am connected to the water. I cleanse myself with my tears. It's okay to cry. It's okay not to be okay. I go with the flow of life. I am connected to my ancestors. I am powerful. I am deeply rooted. My intuition guides me. And even though I'm still learning and growing, I love and accept myself. I am safe and I am protected. Go ahead and inhale and release. Thank you all so much for joining us today. I hope that this was helpful and that it helps you feel well and feel better during these times of uncertainty. Now we're all connected in this web of support. Thank you so much to all of you. Thank you to Self Help Graphics, Marbella, and all the presenters that presented today. Thank you.